Okay, well, hi everybody. We have a wonderful guest speaker today, Kirk, and I believe this is our first social worker on our channel. So this is very exciting. Hi, Kirk. So, imagining me as the high school student here, could you let us know what your name is, your job title, and kind of where you're from?
Oh, hi there. I'm Kirk Tan. My job title is a clinical case manager at Asian Counseling and Referral Service, or I'm a clinical social worker. I am bilingual in Cambodian. I was born in Cambodia.
Wow, okay. So, I was born in Japan and I came here when I was around two. What do you remember when you kind of got here over to the States or?
Yes. I came here in 1984. I
Okay,
came as a refugee in 1984.
okay,
Yes.
okay. Gotcha. I know, it was quite the transition for my parents. I'd imagine it was quite the transition for you. Um, I'm curious as a clinical social worker, what are kind of the things that you need to get educated on? What's your educational background?
Yes, I'm a UW graduate. I have a Bachelor of Social Work and a Master of Social Work degree. I did my internship in my graduate study, specializing in mental health and addictions at the VA, at the Veterans Affairs.
Okay, okay. So when you were kind of doing your graduate studies in the VA and you were, I think you also pursued a bachelor's in social work, correct? When did you realize that you wanted to do social work? Was this something where you decided as soon as you got into college, you're like, I'm going to be a social worker? Or was it a culmination of experiences throughout your education that kind of led you to where you are now?
So again, I came here to the US as a refugee. So I went through the war, the Vietnam War that took place in Southeast Asia back then. And after the Vietnam War, I lived in Cambodia and I experienced a lot of trauma, oppressions, a lot of that. So I came to the US. I went through a refugee experience. That experience made me realize that I want to improve my sense of self-esteem and confidence. And throughout my exploration at the school in a healthcare field, I was thinking about nursing. I was thinking about occupational therapy. I was thinking about medicine. I was thinking about physical therapy and also medical school. And because of my age then, and I wanted to make sure that I can earn a decent living.
Mm,
So I chose social work.
okay, okay. And I would imagine that as you kind of have that experience as a refugee and coming here, that experience really actually helps in a lot of the work that you do as well. Is that correct?
Yes, actually, to work in the field, in mental health field, I mean, in addition to your education, because social work actually it's a profession.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you learn to profess yourself in the field and gain deeper knowledge, and that's important. Like any other field in computer science or in medicine, you have to have knowledge and to be trained well. And social work, unlike other fields,
Mm-hmm.
you need to have some sort of personal relationship with yourself, and
Mm,
that would enhance some when you're working with your client who is going through mental health needs, so you can understand their suffering better. That help enhance the therapy and the counseling.
wow. um, that there's a lot there. So, a deeper knowledge, obviously, about your field, but a very strong relationship with yourself being imperative to kind of do well in, as a social worker. And I also, you mentioned kind of making a good living. And other than those kind of reasons and or attributes, was there something else behind why you chose social work instead of medicine or dentistry and other fields? Or does that kind of capture everything you think?
I'm also a strong advocate um, um, for the oppressed. I've been advocating for my community who went through oppression, and that experience, what I do makes sense for me. And I myself went through that oppression again. I through work, I earn decent living, and also I appreciate my work and appreciate me. Um, I, that aspect. That's the reason why I stay in this field for 27 years.
Right, right. Well, I think everybody strives to kind of be in a position where you are, where you feel very proud and, this is the work that you were almost called to do. And I'm curious now, let's say someone that's watching this was like, hey, I want to be like Kirk. And I also want to advocate and be with or work with the oppressed. And could you take us through like a day in the life of your job, like what you see, what you do, what you think and feel? I'm sure there's a variety, but just anything there would be helpful.
So, as a clinical social worker or a case manager, that's my title. I do counseling to people with mental health needs. My client have diagnosis of depression, anxiety, PTSD, bipolar, and schizophrenia. These disorders interferes with my client ability to do normal activities normally. So they need counseling and case management. That's what I do. Um, on Monday, for example, I meet with an undocumented employed 36-year-old Cambodian speaking women uh, with depression, with a young child. She came to me and asked to help with an application for Seattle Relief Fund. She's on my caseload, and to
Hmm.
be on my caseload, she has to go through intake program. So
Mm,
she was assigned to me. That is at 9 o'clock on Monday. She came to see me. She speak limited English,
mhm,
yet she is employed, and she's also undocumented.
mhm,
So at 10 o'clock, I follow up. This is on Monday. I follow up with an African American homeless English speaking male with PTSD who did not follow up with his primary care. So he had
mm,
a lot of medical needs, but it just,
mhm.
he didn't follow up with his routine needs. And,
Sure.
and if you do not follow up with your routine medical care or and mental health needs, that you end up going to emergency or going up to hospital, and
Mhm.
that would involve causing a lot of healthcare, a lot of money, public money.
Right.
That's
Right.
very bad. So at 11 o'clock, I have a young Asian male who English speaking, who has schizophrenia with a history of drug use. And he's on my caseload also. I asked because I encourage him to hang out with his friends.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that's important to hang out with his friends. Every day he's so lonely. So he told me
Mhm.
that, this year that his friend, two of his friends died.
Mm.
One died of a gunshot. The other one committed suicide.
Okay.
So he had to live through this. Anyway, so at 9 o'clock, I met with a young Cambodian woman. At 10 o'clock, a homeless
Mhm.
African American male. At 11 o'clock, follow up with this young man with schizophrenia. So
Right.
I just followed through those days. And at 1 o'clock, I met with a man who come in for injection every month. So
Injection.
he
Okay.
get the injection as a medication to, because he can't take oral medications. He need to get on take injections every month.
Mm,
I need to educate him on that and remind him to come every month for that.
wow.
And that's Monday. So also follow through like that. That's my daily routine kind of work. On Tuesday, I do group therapy. Anyway, Monday, it was an in-person counseling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So on Tuesday, I conduct a group, this is from my house. I conduct a group therapy with another therapist. So we do education and to support, this is for socializing, for education, for resources. So it's every twice a month kind of routine type of work. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, well, I was just trying to put myself in your shoes, and I was just like, wow, you see so many kinds of people and so many formats. I mean, we were talking about someone with schizophrenia, from someone that was kind of going through a very trying time, and then group therapy too. And I'd imagine that, you really kind of have to, one, be able to listen to these stories, and two, be willing to provide kind of some helpful insights as well. And I'm curious, what are the things that you need to be successful at what you do?
So my field involves with again, social work field or healthcare field require a person to be trained in that field. They acquire knowledge, um, but also this field require a person to be to have good communication skills.
Mm,
That means your listening skill to your clients, but also your communication skills relating to working with other disciplines. For
mm,
example, I work with a psychiatrist
mm.
who
Okay.
prescribe medications. I also work with other social worker who are doing employments and who doing recovery services. And I also work with primary care physicians. So I have this good set of communication skills to relate to other disciplines. I
Right.
also
Right.
work with probation officers. I got an email from her yesterday because one of my clients was released from prison. I need to send her progress reports every month
Hmm.
to ensure that he actually uh, uh, in compliance with counseling and treatment. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not just communication with your clients per se, but it's also the team, the healthcare personnel, the probation officers, that interdisciplinary kind of ability to communicate from with all fields. That's super crucial to do well in your profession, right?
Yes. Also, this what I'm doing require computer literacy.
Mm,
You get to be trained. I mean, I went to school a long time ago.
sure.
I wasn't trained in computer, but I having good computer skill is
Mm.
important because there's a certain program that you got to learn. You got to be how to do things on the computer. Yes.
The computer literacy portion, I could imagine someone, learning and being trained on, but the communication that's required, I'm assuming, of the depth and breadth of a social worker, part of that I think is trained, but part of that also probably comes from someone's lived experience. And has that been something that you have kind of related to, or do you think anybody can become a social worker?
I would well my work of course is extremely stressful. And to stay at I see people who I work with this agency for 27 years.
Hmm.
I see people work for 10 years, they leave the profession and they do other things. And I see people who stay there longer. To why do people leave and why do people stay longer? I don't really know well why. There's a number of reasons why people have to leave to do their own business. They said, I had enough with my work, and some people stay because my field also have opportunities to go up. Like you can, I do direct services too with my clients. I
Right.
see them, I listen to them,
Hmm.
I work with them. But I also can do management. I can do a management in my field. I can move up for
Hmm.
to my position if I want to earn more money.
Sure.
So you're asking why it doesn't. I'm sorry, I lost my track here in terms of.
The original question was that there's a lot of ways you can take your career as a social worker, but when it comes to someone being successful at this profession, part of those skills you can learn, like the computer literacy. The other part, for example, communication, from what I'm hearing, is that yes, you can learn, but some of those things are things you learn outside the classroom from your lived experience of what you've gone through as a person. And I was curious if that was something that you found true, or is it, can anybody be a social worker and everything that you do can be learned?
I would say it can be learned.
Okay.
And anybody can learn to be a social worker, a clinical social worker. Um, but I think that because the field it can be very stressful, and if you don't create this sense of meaningfulness in a way in your job, if you can relate, if you can find meaningfulness in your work, then you can do a better job. I would say that
Sure.
I
Sure.
uh, not just doing for the sake of doing for work that I can hear
Mm.
people do. You can, yes,
Hmm.
you can stay and you can, yeah. Uh, I hope that answered the question.
I hear what you're saying, Kirk, that this it's a job on one hand, but it can be more than a job. And it seems like folks that understand that it's more than a job are the ones that really kind of get engaged and stay. But you were talking a little bit about the stress of the job, and we want to kind of make sure that everybody knows what's going on here. And could you elaborate a little bit on the stress of the job and how you've kind of managed that for any future social workers?
So as you know that stress is very harmful to our health, and it can hurt you in all aspects, and it can hurt you physiologically. It can hurt you socially. That you interfere with your relationship with your partner, your children,
Mm,
and your work. And if it's become chronic, it's gonna hurt you so bad. And a person who work in this field need to be organized in a way, learn to deal with their own what makes sense to them, how to deal with stress. This job is stressful in the sense that everything I have to turn in time on a timely manner. I have
oh,
to
I see.
document on a timely manner. I had to renew my client in a timely manner because the county requirements, because of my program requirements, because of funding requirements.
Sure.
Oh, those kind of, it's you gotta have this learn to deal with that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Would you say it's that bureaucracy or that need to be timely to be more of a stressor and challenging for you than the actual client and your interaction with each person?
Yes, I would say that. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
think that the interaction with clients, is it's amazing. I like that aspect of it.
You kind of lit up there when you talked about the interaction. And so, albeit these stressors of bureaucracy, is the interaction the thing that keeps you going? Like that's the thing that makes your profession worthwhile? Like tell me more about that.
I'm still having fun with my work. Um, um, I enjoy a sense of accomplishment in a
Mm,
way. You know, but I do have some clients who were very angry at me also, but it's a small number. But like this morning, I have a client who is discharged from the hospital, and he have no place to go.
hmm
Um, and he need to have proof of homelessness to be on to get housing as soon as possible. I'm still having, not fun, but in a way, as I'm this meaningful work that I don't want him to be on the street and
mm,
to suffer and connect him to homeless shelter for a few days. And then he had this create this document for him. Then I can submit it to the program, and the program, because it's just a part of the program, they have to look at that he's in fact homeless, he's not taking advantage of the system and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm still having fun with my work.
mm.
Yeah.
And it's very, impactful to kind of have that document where this person's homelessness status is now documented so that they can access the resources that they need, right? And I mean, I think that's really cool.
Yes, yes. So, because there's a requirement, there is a definition of homelessness
Mm,
that you have to be stay in a shelter, or staying on the street, or stay in a car, something like that. That has to be documented. It's not, you can't just say I'm homeless, and so I should be on
sure.
top priority or something like that. Yeah.
Well, um, it's noted that there's that sense of accomplishment from being able to kind of serve and work with those that are really kind of oppressed and suffering. And I guess my question is just kind of transitioning now to the things that you've kind of gone through with your pathway of becoming a social worker. What are some ways that you've had to either navigate challenges around discrimination, how you've kind of overcome them? And as much as you're willing to share, I think the audience are folks that are BIPOC, low income, and or first generation. So they would just want to know how they can best navigate those challenges that might arise around that.
Yes. It's going to be very extremely difficult for a person who in that situations. I personally experienced that. As you know, discrimination is wrong, and discrimination or unfair treatment of a person or group because of her ethnicity, or because of her gender or sexual orientation or age or disability is wrong. One way to navigate that is to recognize and acknowledge the unfair treatment. I remember I did a lot of self-talk to empower myself to recognize my own strengths. I talk out loud to myself when I'm alone, so I can recognize my own strength because of unfair treatment. It's fun to talk, and it's talk to and listen to my own voice.
Mm, mm,
I'm saying to myself that I am important, that I'm valuable, that I'm good, that I'm strong, and I'm resilient. I'm smart. I can achieve my goals.
mm,
Another way to navigate that is to share your experience of discrimination with your family members, your friends, so they can support you through that time. You can speak up about it if you want to, but I think you need to assess the situation whether it is safe or not to talk about being treated unfairly at your workplace or in school setting. At workplace, if you want to, or in school, you can go to a human resource, or you can talk to an attorney outside because there is a law to protect you.
Right.
And
Wow. I'm just blown away by that response because you had such tangible ways to navigate that. So you were talking about acknowledging and recognizing, giving that self-talk of like, hey, I'm strong and I can do it, to then sharing with your family and friends. And then finally, if, tactfully minded, then you can maybe speak up about it. But wow, I'm going to start doing some self-talk on my end as well. And bringing
I
myself.
did a lot. I did a lot. I went to school in the late 80s in Spokane. I
Uh-huh.
I did experience that helped.
I see. I see. Um, well, I guess, we're kind of reaching the end of our conversation. So just kind of two more questions here. So one is, let's say I'm a high school student and I'm ready to go into the field of social work, but I have no idea how to get to where you are. How can I be a Kirk? Do I need to go to college? Is there like a non-college route? What are the resources available? Any advice or thoughts there?
Well, I do see people who perform my work without a degree. Um, in a nonprofit organization, um, uh, that's a career that's creating a career. If you don't have a degree, you can do volunteer and you can gradually become a social worker without a degree. But that's different though. I wouldn't recommend that. And you can create, you can have a career in the field of mental health, a career in counseling, and you don't have to go to school. But that part is it's harder for you. I think it's easier. I think it's better for you in a long term if you can go through school, at least get an associate degree, and then go up to get a bachelor degree and a graduate degree. That would help you a great deal. Volunteering is good if you can choose a place that you can volunteer and so you can have some interaction with people to see if actually um, you learn about yourself through volunteering.
I see. So it sounds like you don't have to go to college, but it does help if you have that associate's and bachelor's degree.
I would say that. I would say that because you go into college, because this work, you can do things, but you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. But
Sure.
so school actually teach you some theories behind that and some rationale why you do what you're doing. There's some a rationale behind what you're doing in
Okay.
theories. Yeah.
When someone is trying to go through school and also kind of engage in these volunteering opportunities, a lot of times money might be an issue, lack of connections might be an issue, just not believing in yourself might be an issue. And do you have any advice there for someone kind of trying to navigate those challenges when trying to pursue a field in social work?
Yeah, I got lucky because I have uh, a, family to support me through that time period. It's gonna be harder for you if you don't have some support behind you. I think for you, for those who don't have families or friends to support, I wouldn't say that you cannot do that. You cannot achieve your dream or your goal. I would encourage you to maintain that uh, relationship with your friends or your families because they can support you through the process. I'm not sure I answered it correctly, Joe. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's absolutely there's no right or wrong answer, but what I heard there was that social support is important. Support from your family and friends, and you can do the self-talk to kind of build yourself up, but at the end of the day, it's kind of a we thing where you want as many people to be behind you so you can succeed too. Did I understand that?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, Kirk, this was a lovely conversation. And finally, any departing thoughts for our viewers that you would like to give them, advice, thoughts, to for social work, I guess.
Well, as you know, that pandemic has affected us, and people are suffering, and there is a high demand for mental health professionals, and I encourage you would choose this field, and this field um, uh, is it it's not a field that you can make a lot of money. You're going to be rich and things like that. But this field actually, if you enjoy flexible hours, and you enjoy working at the office on your schedule, and you work from home, and you at the same time you're having fun with in your profession, which is this is the field. And I believe that you can improve your sense of self-confidence a great deal
Mhm.
by doing this work.
Well, I definitely sensed your self-confidence, and you're very inspiring. Thank you, Kirk, for this conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.